Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, welcoming you back to another episode of our Planet Zoo franchise mode Let's Play. We're headed right back to Australia and Elite Zoo South. There is lots to discuss today on the topic of heading back to Australia, so let's dive on in. And as we do, just want to mention as always, folks, if you've been enjoying this series and you would like to see it continue, please don't hesitate to keep letting me know by leaving those likes and comments. As always, they make a massive difference in just how I approach things on the channel, as I've said countless times before. But there's a lot more to talk about, so I'm not going to belabor that point any further. I want to clarify right off the bat as well that we will be having a time lapse almost immediately after the sun rises at the beginning of this session, because there is a lot to get done. I am going to keep things paused just for a moment over here. As you can see, the sun is just creeping over the horizon. Oh god, this game's so beautiful. And the moment it's at its zenith, I think I will dive into a time lapse so we can get a lot of work done around these parts and try and cap some things off. But wish there were. Yeah, there we go. Cap some things off. Anything for the pun, right? So before we get into all that, though, before we hit play, I just want to touch on a couple of things because it's been so difficult for me. Now, we started Elite Zoo South in Australia because I had a gut feeling the next DLC would be the Australia Pack DLC. And those of you that have been following Planet Zoo on like their Twitter and whatnot already know this, but for those of you that haven't been or have just otherwise not kept up to date, the next DLC has been announced, and it is, in fact, the Australia Pack. Now, again, when we opened Elite Zoo South and the Southern Hemisphere Zoo, that was just a gut feeling because it felt like the blank that needed filling desperately in this game. But as time went on, I came to the realization that this DLC was imminent. Initially, it was, again, a gut feeling that it must be imminent because of their sort of time gaps between DLC in the past. And then inevitably and eventually, I came to learn that the DLC was, in fact, coming. That's why, for the last little while, I've been very hesitant about starting a new enclosure, partly because I actually was under the impression that the DLC was going to release this week. And so I was like, okay, let's not start anything new and get stuck in that, and that'll be half finished, and then we have to start another new thing. Well, we don't have to, but we would want to start another new thing when the DLC drops. Now, unfortunately, that was me misunderstanding things a little bit, but in reality, the DLC is dropping next week. And as soon as I can, I will be diving into that with full force, which means that we will at least temporarily, unless there's heavy objections in the comments, and of course, as always, feel free to drop those objections. Unless there are heavy objections, we will, as soon as possible, shift our attention, at least temporarily, to the Australia section of the zoo, because I feel like that way we will start to finally balance out the unevenness that many of you have commented on already. We're getting this very, left-heavy zoo over here. Of course, eventually we'll go up the center as well, but I feel like that'd be a nice thing to pursue, and we'll get to show off some of the new DLC stuff sooner rather than later. So yeah, again, I do apologize for the slowdown in Animal Edition. I wanted to get a lot of this stuff completed, not just because it'd be nice to have things completed, but also because it'd be nice to have things completed before the new DLC drops and pulls our attention elsewhere. I hope that explanation suffices. I know it's as many of you have commented last episode as well. The slowdown has been noticeable and all that. It's a struggle. It's a struggle because I didn't want to do a half-baked idea for the next animal that we're going to add over here, which is going to be the jaguars, and I have a really cool idea for them, but that idea will take time and focus. So I wanted to make sure that I gave them the proper time of day, and knowing that the DLC was imminent, I wanted to sort of temper my own pace. Hope y'all don't mind, but I'm glad I can finally kind of talk about it fully. But I'm super excited for the new DLC. There is so much coming. It's also right. It's also why we've focused on on South America and ignored our entrance because there are so many new pieces coming. I think it's like over 200 or 230 pieces, and if you see the trailer for the new DLC, there are so many things that we can integrate that many of you were talking about in terms of cultural references. There's so many new just pieces to play with and work with that'll fit so nicely, not just up over here in our entrance area, but of course also in our Australian expansion. Anyway, I'm exciting times ahead. Exciting times ahead, and thank y'all for your patience and for understanding. I hope the as to why we've kind of paced ourselves like this, because yes, it is nice to have things complete. It is also nice, of course, to add more animals. Striking that balance has been a challenge for the last little bit. Anyway, sorry. I like I said, there was a lot to talk about, so I didn't want to ramble about likes and comments and all that because I wanted to ramble about this instead. I was so excited to finally be able to talk about it. Now that that's done, as I was mentioning earlier, if you have any objections to the plan of, flipping from South America to Australia when that DLC drops and as soon as we're able to do that, if you have any issues with that, if you have any objections, let me know in the comments, as I know you will, because we can use this as a case study. So it's pretty interesting. When the video first went up, should I hit play over here? I doubt there'll be any emergencies coming up. Yeah, I think we can hit play, and that way the sun will start making its way up, and we can dive into that time lapse I was talking about. The only reason people are upset, I think, is probably because of the protesters, but we've handled that. It was because our lovely Chispy here has been stuck, so I want to go ahead and sort that out. It was pointed out in the comments, and again, I thank you for this, pointed out that this top area is still inaccessible as well, and it's probably because of these plants, actually. Probably because of these plants. So what we'll do is we'll move them over a little bit so there is like a lane that they can move up through, and we'll just tuck the terrain down, because that's gonna otherwise be rather hideous. There we go. I don't know how I feel about the grass growing through it. For now, I'm okay with it, but we'll see how I feel about it afterwards. It looks I mean, it is intentional. Otherwise, I'd clear it out. But it looks like it belongs. And actually, also, I should probably push some of this stuff down. There we go. That looks a campsite better. There we go. Yes. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So let's go ahead and hit play. The protesters will leave. We'll check on the accessibility over here. On which note we will be touching on accessibility as well a little bit. But yeah, we're good to hit play. Sorry, I just had to like run through everything in my head there. Oh, hey, our money. 1, 2, 3. Let's hit play. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Sorry. Got feelings sometimes. Still not accessible, eh? Oh, interesting. Interesting. I wonder what the limitation is. Maybe these plants are just a little too chunky? Also, I do realize there is a facility without power. We'll be sorting that out as well. Okay, this is strange. This isn't any steeper than... In fact, if anything, it's significantly less steep. What? Why is that a problem, even? Why are you not able to get up this thing? That's so weird. What if I lower you a bit more? That is extremely weird. Are you the problem? It's the navigation like mesh or whatever you want to call it ends at a different point than it actually refers to. As you can see, these guys have to stop here. And these guys have to stop here. So the problem is, these are the problem sections, but I have no reason to believe that they're actually problems. What? How does that make any sense? The animals are able to walk on these things. It's not like that's part of the issue or anything, so don't worry about that. The problem is very much in the height difference, I suspect. Let's see. Okay, if I pull you out over here, then what happens if it's just flat? You're able to get up over here. Okay, good. We know that part's working. So now if we raise you up ever so slightly, the animal should be able to traverse that. Okay, but then you're not able to traverse this. This is actually a lot harder than I had imagined. What? This is... That makes absolutely no sense. Like, they're able to get up this, which is, a couple inches. They're not able to get up this, which is a couple millimeters. How does that make any sense? And it was working fine previously. Let's see if we can't move you in here. I might do this as a part of the time lapse because this is kind of ridiculous. And no, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. I do raise the terrain. Okay. That's so weird. Normally it's a non-issue. And I'm using an adult here because I want to make sure they're able to get through. Okay. We'll sort that out. We'll sort that out. But at least they're able to get up now. Weird. Yeah, because they should be able to walk on the actual like construction pieces as well without any issue, but alright, we'll figure it out. Let's go ahead and widen this a little bit then. Gives them a little bit more room to walk. There we go. You're free. Good. Guests are happy. That's all it was. Now, can I just tuck this in ever so slightly to make it feel a little bit better? I love the sound of their hooves on the stone. Oh, that's a little too low now. Not a problem for the babies. Come on now. There we go. Alright. That'll do. That will do. Oh, and it does look so pretty when the sun lights the shadows and or casts the shadows like this. Man, I really like the stairs. Alright, so at least we know now that we can actually fix these. We should be able to raise them up a little bit and not cause any issues. They feel a bit more like they felt earlier. That is really weird though. Extremely strange. We'll raise you as well. Oops. Come on now. There's so much more to talk about. This was supposed to be a quick fix. Alright, let's see if you guys are stuck up here now. You are. Oh, wow. Okay. Weird. I guess these pieces are a little different. Alright, cool. Well, there we go. This, like, train of llamas up over here. Just like, what happened to our... What happened to our escape? This buddy over here just, like, giving up on finding an escape route. Yeah, I'll just pass out over here, whatever. Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to come up eventually. In fact, it was mentioned in the comments as well that this needs to be checked out. Will probably need to be checked out this session, and here we are. Keep a male, keep a female. Move everybody to the trade center. Cool. Hopefully that's everybody. Oh, no. Oh, no! Oh, dear! Oh, my God! They look the same when they're sleeping and when they're dead. Oh, that now I feel terrible. Now I feel terrible. Jispy is dead. She's not asleep. Oh my God. Oh wow, that's certainly a moment. Now, all right, as a vet comes to pick Jispy up over there, and all that's happening, I want to touch on things here a little bit. So it's kind of funny actually how so when the video first went up, the initial responses were fairly unanimous, or they looked fairly unanimous when I was flipping through the comments early, that like folks did not like the mossy solution. And so I was like, okay, well that's a simple like next step. I know what to do. We'll get rid of it. Whatever, it's fine. I'm not too like I'm not. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. I wouldn't call it a must-have in this enclosure. It's just something that I personally like. I liked. So I was fine with getting rid of it. But then, as the video stayed up for, you know, it's like initial cycle between recording episodes, there was a lot of support for it as well. And that's where it becomes difficult, where it's just like, all right, so there's folks on both sides of the fence. I'm kind of cool with either approach. What I think I'll want to do, though, is I think I'll want to keep this intact for now. We might revisit it. We might like get rid of it completely later. We might try some of the various solutions that have been proposed, like getting rid of the lower level section, or we'll try and find a way to like smooth some of this stuff out. Like we might find rocks that have smoother tops. Like if I'd used this top across the board, it'd be a lot harder to tell that there were separate rock pieces, and that might look a lot nicer. There's also, in fact, I don't know if it's under nature or if it's under something else. Yeah. There's also this carpet moss that we can use to maybe try and blend things a bit better as well. Like, you know, maybe get some of the color on the sides here, and that way, I mean, this is not the piece that we'd use, obviously, but maybe there's a way to kind of like blend the transition a bit more so it doesn't stick out so well, like a sore thumb, basically. There's a lot of potential solutions and options over here with regards to the moss before we completely get rid of it. I'm completely okay with if we ultimately decide to get rid of it, but I do want to experiment a bit with this stuff. I just want to see if some of this stuff would help, would work instead. We can also, of course, get rid of the rocks and then use the little clumps of moss instead. Now, granted, it is still moss, which I know is like kind of weird. We have to use the use your imagination or head canon a little bit to say it's grass, because unfortunately, again, the grass and to explain it to folks who are asking, the grass in this biome will only ever look like this. Even if we paint fresh grass, short grass will always look like that, and long grass will always look like that. So it won't be that vibrant green that I was hoping to accomplish over here. Anyway, all that to say this, I see all the feedback. I appreciate all the feedback. I genuinely do. And I'm very happy to see people are comfortable with being critical like that. I always welcome that because it allows us to, go back and revisit things. But in the interest of moving things forward, in the interest of, not being... not spending another episode just focused down over here, I want to take a more broad approach with today's time lapse. I want to try and complete a lot of the little things across the board that need completing to, again, set us up for our upcoming, adventures, as it were, as soon as we can get into those. So we might do a little bit of work over here, but it's a small part of a much bigger picture in today's what's the word I'm looking for? Time lapse and just episode as a whole. Oh, they look so cute when they swim with their like heads up, and it's like they're worried their head's about to go underwater. It's got to keep the nose up. It's like you're like a foot away from the surface level of the water. Good to see that they're still able to use this space, by the way, as well. I saw someone mention that they might not be able to cross the river anymore, but it looks like they very much are, so that's good to see. And they should be able to get up as well. And yeah, play with this little toy over here. Wonderful, wonderful. I do love these sprinklers. The misters, as they were. And that is that's the food from the enrichment item. Cool. Anyway, that I think covers everything I wanted to talk about before we dove into the time lapse. Sorry, I'm like my head's a little all over the place right now, and I do apologize about that. It's because there was so much I wanted to touch on before the time lapse that I just want to make sure I've covered all my bases. One last thing to touch on, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well. So some of y'all have mentioned that it'd be neat for this this roof to actually go all the way through and cover this entire area. Keeping this as a half roof or a semi-roof or a demi-roof or whatever you want to call it is actually intentional. We can change it, obviously. I'm always open to change, as I mentioned earlier, with regards to the mossy green and whatnot. The idea here was that it would be rather gross to create a greenhouse situation in what averages like 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. You would get that greenhouse situation. It would be hot. It would be sticky. More so than I feel like even those like humid spaces are in zoos. I don't know. Maybe it's my bias speaking there, being in Toronto. But I just felt like it would be a little hot and sticky. Let's put it that way, right? And I wanted to avoid that, but at the same time, I wanted to build a space that was a little bit warmer, that had access to sunlight, but also was shaded from the rain. If you wanted to come up here and like hide out while it's raining, pick up an umbrella and make your way back out. That was the idea over here, and it in my head, at least in my mind, it creates a very nice facade. It creates a nice kind of interesting profile as well, without creating an entirely closed space, which you can still access down over here if you want an entirely enclosed space. I should actually also just get rid of this, because this is no longer relevant either, because the monkeys, of course, can no longer access the space. And the other thing, because I know I'll forget, are you a... Folks, I didn't realize. Yo, Juan's posing for us here. Notice we were paying attention. This is evolution in action, isn't it? What an opportune moment to focus in on an animal. Right, but what I was actually coming here for is to edit the habitat barriers a little bit, because we no longer need to include... Hang on a second. That ain't right. Why do we don't need all that. We just need this space over here. You come down, you go over here, and here. Yeah, this is what we needed to adjust. If I could just adjust this. There we go. Beautiful. And hopefully this will get the game to recalculate the... Oh dear. I really ought to save first. I saw it mentioned in the comments. It's like, I really love this character development in Party Elite that now he saves every handful of moments. That comment hit home. It's definitely a new habit, but boy, do I feel a lot better having the habit than not, considering the suffering of past episodes. But yeah, this will be the last thing we do before we dive into the time-lapse. I just want to clarify, actually, while I'm doing this, the reason why I haven't already kicked off the time-lapse is because I wanted to clarify my stance once again to be crystal clear rather than mud clear. With regards to the moss, I have taken the feedback into account. I understand that there is a lot of desire for to see it gone and changed because it doesn't quite work. I've also seen the feedback that says that it is good. I will be balancing that out moving forward to try and figure out what I want to do. I will probably run at least a couple of experiments to see if we can get it to blend more nicely, get it to work more nicely in the space, and have it feel less jarring. Because I understand the issues there, and I don't disagree either. If I recall correctly, I think I mentioned it during the time lapse. It's like I was worried about that stuff as well. So it's it wasn't like an entirely a surprise to me or anything. But what I'll probably do is I'll probably throw a vote up or something eventually. Not today's episode. When the time comes to tackle that, I'll probably throw a vote up and we'll regroup on that subject, and we'll try and figure out what we want to do there. The other thing is there might also, who knows, we might end up getting something else we can use in the upcoming pack. That's an option. Is it likely? I doubt it. It'd be a weird thing to include. But if it comes, it comes, and that's great. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that as well. There's 100 different ways to slice that cake or pie, whichever you prefer. And when the time comes, we will. So I just don't want y'all. I don't want anybody to feel like that the opinions and feedback has been ignored in either way. For or against the moss. I just don't want to tackle it right now because I feel like then we're going to spend 4 episodes back to back just dealing with the same space, and that can be unfun to say the least. So so we're going to move on from that today. Maybe I'll touch it a little bit in today's time lapse if I feel like there's time to do it, and there's like nothing else, none of the other targets I wanted to hit, or like if I finish all my other targets, that's my last kind of target. But boy, do I have plans for the time lapse. I'm really excited for today's time lapse actually. And I hope it turns out. Now, moving all this barrier space out will hopefully help with the... it's not so bad in terms of the lag here now compared to what it was before. But it is still noticeable when I put a piece down. That's because the game is still recalculating the climbing pieces, I think. Why can I not... There we go. Do that. I mean, the animal shouldn't even be able to reach back over here, so we'll need to adjust this a bit more than what we're doing right now. This should actually be up over there. We also actually don't want to have this out here anymore because they can no longer see the animal from out over here. So I got to get rid of that. Come on now. Come on now. Get rid of you. I'm recalculating the climbing for all this as well, isn't it? Yeah. Get rid of all of you. Go. Trying to think like the stuff we struggled on to like implement, how easily we're able to just trash it now. It was a struggle back then, but it's a lot easier to work with now. Oh, one little piece left over here. Still getting that little bit of well, it might be because we haven't unpaused. It's fine. We'll let the game recalculate the the climbing and stuff after our time lapse. I think we're good to dive into it. This sun looks good enough. I don't think I have the patience to... Oh, we might have actually let it go past us? No way. Anyway, it is what it is. I guess we did. Oh yeah, the shadows are being cast. Anyway, folks, that just tells me one thing. We've spent way too much time outside of this time lapse. It's iconic that we're talking so much about the sun before this time lapse, because the sun is going to be quite involved in the time lapse itself as well. Folks, it's time lapse time. All right, folks, this one is a good one. I'm really happy with the end result of this time lapse. I've been mulling over this for so very long. I've been doing research to try and, get an understanding of a variety of things, including some aspects of the game that we're actually going to be taking advantage of. So today what we're going to do is we're expanding Pachamama's garden in line with a suggestion that actually came through a long time ago, many episodes ago now, it feels like, where we could actually bring in Pachamama's... Well, okay, so there are a couple of conflicting myths, and if I get this wrong, or if you know an alternate version of it, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always open to, corrections and things like that, including in, pronunciations and stuff. But from my research, there are a few conflicting mythologies in this regard, or with what I'm about to tell you. But we're going to be creating sort of, think of it like shrines, not like entirely historical, maybe. I'm trying to build some more referential shrines, I guess, if you will, to a degree, while being inspired by the architecture of the region and whatnot. Trying. Hopefully I succeed. But we're going to be building these, monuments, if you will, to two other Incan gods. One is Inti, and the other is Mamakia. Now, Inti is the sun god, and Mamakia is the moon goddess. So we're going to be playing around with those themes a fair bit, and I'm really excited with how it all kind of works out as we kind of build some structures over here. I'll get into the details. I just want to touch on some of the mythos that we're actually playing with. So, Inti is possibly the son of Viracocha, who is the god that we have represented in the Capuchin space. But it's also possible instead that he's the son of Pachamama, or perhaps the son of both. But in other mythologies, it's stated that Inti goes on to marry Pachamama as well. And then in other mythologies still, it's actually mentioned that Inti marries Mamakia, except Mamakia is also Inti's sister. So I'm not quite sure what's true and what's not, but or not what's true or what's not, but rather which myth is more current or which is more accurate. I tried to read as much as I could and try and get a full, firm grasp of it, but it was definitely a difficult one to fully wrap my head around. But point being, Inti and Mamakia, who, by the way, might also be the daughter of Viracocha, they are all related with Pachamama. So I felt like it would be nice, and this was a great suggestion that came through, to kind of get them all together. Especially because both Inti and Mamakia are 2/3 of sort of the three major Incan gods, if my understanding is correct. And you can actually see a lot of that to date. I mean, Inti was worshipped so much that his symbology is kind of everywhere. At a certain point in time, the emperor became synonymous with the sun. Like, there was this whole kind of deification of the emperor through Inti's image as well. In fact, the image of Inti you will find today on the Bolivian coat of arms, the Peruvian flag, the Ecuadorian coat of arms, and Inti is represented as that sun. You might be familiar with the form already, but it's the sun, and typically it's got a face on it, and it's got, well, there are a few different ways I've seen its rays shown, but it's got the squiggly rays, except for at the cardinal points, in which case they're hard rays. Anyway, it's a very familiar image, and when I was doing all this research, I was like, oh my god, this is what that is, because it's so, I would say it's so pervasive in, at least in what I've been exposed to growing up and whatnot, which would be predominantly sort of Western culture and whatnot. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool, and so I wanted to pay an homage to that, if you will. And then Mama Kia, again, she is the moon goddess, also a very important god. I believe, if I recall correctly, she is also the protector of women, and she oversees a lot of things, of course, the moon itself, menstrual cycles, so she's got a lot of responsibility as well, of course, being one of the key, 3 gods in the pantheon. Something really interesting about Mama Kia actually is that when apparently the Incans would very much dislike lunar eclipses, because they believed that a lunar eclipse happened when Mama Kia was being attacked by an animal. And typically, I think the expectation was that it was a mountain lion, potentially. Really interesting stuff, really fascinating stuff. Again, I've always been fascinated with Mesoamerican and South American indigenous cultures and whatnot. But I would say I am fairly underexposed to it, apart from the typical things we see on on TV and whatnot. So this was a great opportunity for me personally to go exploring certain topics that I wasn't super familiar with. I hope I've done them justice with a brief explanation. Obviously, learned quite a bit in my readings. That was super fun for me. But I can't only talk about what I've learned. Obviously, I want to talk about what we're doing here as well. But that's sort of the crux of it. I was actually really surprised at again the permanence of Inti in especially modern day like flags and things like that as well. Anyway, so what are we doing here? We're, like I said, we're building sort of a shrine, if you will, a modern day memorial shrine kind of a thing. With inspiration of older like architectural pieces and elements and whatnot, and we're trying to build like a ruined section over here. I felt like that would kind of thematically tie this whole space up. It would also allow us to do something really, I don't know, I think at least really interesting, and I'm so pleased that it works. You may have noticed I've built 2 shapes up front. Those were my beginning shapes that I made, a circle and, well, there's no other way to call it. It's a crescent, like that of a moon. And my thinking here, my hope here, was that the sun would shine through those holes and would, on the ground, well, not cast shadows, I guess. Technically, they would let light through in some very specific shapes. And it works out perfectly. And we go over it in real time as well afterwards, so you can get a proper look at the shadows being cast, and again, as a result of the shadows being cast, the negative space as well. But basically, we managed to get a circle of light at a specific, time of day or during a specific hour or so in this virtual world. The sun will shine through and put a spotlight on the bench that's just before the sort of turn into Pachamama's garden. I thought that was the best place to position it. And then we also have the crescent moon, which will allow a sliver of light through, and we'll position that within Pachamama's garden. And I believe it's during the time lapse that we end up placing the rubbing pillar in a spot that the animal would be lit up by the gap provided by the moon. This was a full-on experiment. I didn't know if it was going to work or not, but I thought, hey, let's go for it. What's the worst that could happen? We waste some time. Not the end of the world. This actually ended up being a much longer time lapse than initially anticipated, but aren't they always these days? I was so just happy with how things were coming along that I didn't want to stop. I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep experimenting, and you can kind of see the results of that. Right now I'm actually using those gold pieces that you saw. I'm using those to build the rays of the sun. Just felt like it needed something a little extra. And we actually, I hope I did it in real time as well, but we actually go down and get a bit of a panning shot, and it really does make the space stand out so much more, because as the light kind of reflects off of it and stuff, it feels different, like right there, it feels different, and you can see the crescent moonlight at the bottom. Oh man, I do go over this in real time. It's times like this where I kind of wish like I could, I would like go in afterwards and ramp edit all the time and stuff, but if I start doing that, each episode would start taking me like 10 hours to make, as opposed to just the 4 or so it does. But yeah, so you can see the crescent moon down over there. Might adjust the curve of the bottom a little bit so it's a bit, more, I guess. And you can see as well over here the circle of light that falls on the bench at the bottom right corner there, trying to make sure that stays clear. I want to make sure those are clear paths of light, and ideally it would only be during a certain time of day. Now, part of the inspiration for this is actually a... I just want to say, because I feel like it's good to let people know what inspirations are, so you can go, looking it up and stuff for your own self if need be. But part of the inspiration is a war memorial in the United States. If I'm not mistaken, at 11/11 on the 11th of November, it has a bunch of pillars that kind of line up perfectly, and light goes through. 11/11 on the 11th of November. Yeah, light goes through those pillars perfectly and creates a beautiful image on the ground. And I've always wanted to recreate that in Planet Zoo. In fact, originally I was going to see if I couldn't get something like that going for Nikedra's memorial at Elite Zoo North, but that didn't work for many reasons, and I wanted to go with a different idea ultimately. But then here, a lot of things were coming together at the same time, and it dawned on me like, hey, why don't we run this experiment and see if we can't do something cool. I don't know. I'm so happy with this. I hope y'all like it too. As far as the complexity of the build itself, it's maybe not too complicated. There aren't like 1,000 pieces or anything, and to a degree, it's just a vertical block, sure. But from a experience point, and from just a visual results aspect, and from a technical aspect, I feel like it's doing so much. And I really like how the exposed stone and stuff looks as well. It feels like it's actually exposed out of the dirt. I'm really happy with how the shape of that has turned out as well. But yeah, I did hesitate or contemplate putting down those pieces that block the archaeological dig sites off. But then I figured, I do want to have some differences between the two enclosures and whatnot. Damn, I really like the gold. I'm so glad I did the gold up there. Looking back at it now in hindsight, because again, when I was recording this, I wasn't looking at things as holistically as I am now while talking about stuff in time-lapse form. The gold looks really nice, and again, you can see the top right corner how that the sun just very nicely kind of spotlights the bench over there. Bring a cap, buy an umbrella. The umbrella does the job. You know what I mean. Now here I'm having a nightmare of a time trying to select the pieces. The Scaevola bush, however that's pronounced, I do not like. The hitbox on it is way too big. Beautiful piece, but the hitbox on it is way too big. Anyway, but you can see how now Pachamama's garden is starting to have a bit more of a story over here, and this was really my response to the symmetry problem. Many of y'all pointed out that the symmetry was feeling a little weird. It's not even perfectly symmetrical. There's no point in making it symmetrical. There was a lot of comments that I've been considering for a while, and then now finally I kind of found a way to execute it in a way that I would be satisfied with it as well, where it doesn't need to be symmetrical. It's not symmetrical. It's not just this one shrine. It's actually maybe a temple complex, and so I've kind of built like a mini path over here as well. I'm happier with how that's looking and feeling. Man. That was quite the build. Anyway, that's enough work at Pachamama's garden. I think I'm willing to call it done now. I don't know if we'll add anything more to it, but I decided to come back over here and make some adjustments again based on your comments, based on your feedback. The rock looked a little out of place on this side, so I decided to swap it out for some of these ruins and whatnot. Again, it was a suggestion in the comments, which I very much liked. Blends in quite nicely. And I believe the last thing we do in this time-lapse ends up being a lot more time-consuming than I'd initially anticipated, and that is this pathing over here needs to go. It was pointed out in the comments, very rightfully so, that it is the farthest thing from accessible because of the supremely deep ridges between the rocks and whatnot. And also, moss itself, the reason why I wanted a path covering is because moss or grass even, isn't really convenient for mobility devices either. So I wanted to put some type of ground down. Now, I'm pretty sure the ramp over here is sort of, again, now I'm going a little too far, maybe, but I was paying attention to the ramp as well. I believe that is the appropriate, what's it called? Angle for a ramp, and I was happy that okay, that looks like that'll work properly. So we've got that going for us. It works, but I do need to lift this up a little bit because I wanted to get this flooring in because it works nice, it looks nice. I really did. I was missing it as well when we kind of covered it all up. I was missing its look. So I'm glad we could bring it back in. Just had to raise it ever so slightly, but as you can see, it's causing a bit of a struggle over here because why not? If there's one thing the Planet series needs to improve urgently in like their next game, whatever it might be, if there is a next one or if they make a sequel, whatever it is, the pathing system. Honestly, it's and I know I'm pushing it to its limit and doing things with it that maybe it's not built for, but I'd like to see it be built for more stuff, is I guess what I'm saying. Unfortunately, also unable to place the benches exactly how I wanted it to because now there's an obstruction apparently. It's uneven pathing, I suppose, so just have to make adjustments to that. It's okay. All good. But yeah, this works a lot better. I think it's a lot more accessible. I think it also looks nicer. It also covers some of the moss, which maybe helps it all feel a bit better. I don't know. We'll tackle that in the future, like I said before. I think that's definitely something, it's a conversation that needs revisiting, but just going to finish up this path connection over here, and that about wraps up this time lapse. I hope you guys like the end result of it. I'm super happy with how Pachamama's garden has turned out technically. Let me know your thoughts. All right, folks, we are back from that time lapse, and like I said, in, you know, some set of words or others, the sun would feature quite heavily in our build today. I'm actually so pleased with how this has worked out. It's honestly worked out infinitely better than I'd anticipated it would, and I'm sure I expressed my elation in the time lapse, and I'm sure I explained the concept over here in the time lapse as well. I might go in and add a little bit more little like vines and stuff like that across the top over here, so it does feel a little bit more reclaimed perhaps. I didn't feel like I wanted to overdo it just quite yet. As you all know, again, I like to kind of like get things to a point and then move away and come back and with fresh eyes and review and reconsider. But I am overall very much liking how this is looking, how it's feeling. The animals like the space as well. I kept an eye on their overall like satisfaction levels and stuff like that, like to make sure they would stay happy with the amount of vegetation, and they don't seem to mind the current circumstances either, which is great, because obviously that is paramount. The animal happiness is pretty important. And look at that, they're celebrating with confetti, with gold confetti. What a cute! Oh my god, they're so cute. Yeah, I'm really pleased, and of course this moment only happens at a very specific time of day, I guess around like in the 5 to 6 o'clock space. Call it happy hour if you will. I don't know. But I wasn't sure if this could be pulled off, and here we are. So that's super exciting. I'm super happy. I hope y'all liked it as well. But it's time to move on to some other stuff beyond Pachamama's garden and just like the few fixes we did here and there. One thing that I definitely need to check in on is, the monkey movement. I want to make sure that this solution does actually do the trick. I tried to put the water in there, but as you may have seen, it was causing obstructions. I'm not sure what is breaking the water at this point. Oh, maybe it's the monkey over here at the edge. That might have been it, but whatever. It's fine. I'm fine with this solution as well. In fact, arguably, it works a bit more elegantly than just having the water just kind of poke out. Unless I were to do a whole river passing through, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to, rebuild this entire section. I'm quite pleased with how it works and everything, so don't want to, don't fix what isn't broken, so to speak. But yes, let's go ahead and unpause, let the day move forward, and I do want to select a monkey, so I can check where. Yeah, there you are, buddy. Camouflaged against the little pegs there. I want to make sure that as soon as I unpause, we're able to verify that, yes, they are, in fact, blocked off. And it does look like... Oh, okay. I was like, are you recalc? Nope. Doesn't do the trick. All right. Glad I checked. They're able to kind of go up there and cross over. So let's go ahead and set this one upright as well. And what we'll do is... I was hoping to make it look a little bit more interesting than just like a bunch of upright pillars. Not the end of the world, though, because what we can do is we can go ahead and raise you up a little bit. Twist you around, like so. Go ahead and get you a little bit higher as well. I kind of like how these guys look like they're growing up the side. I'm on board with that, and hopefully that will that'll do the trick. I wonder if they're actually... Oh, they're probably able to sneak by over here as well. In which case, let's go ahead and build. Let's get a different one. So otherwise, it is going to start to feel a little too repetitive. I think. I fear. Let me get this down over here. There. That should really block the space off. Cool. Let's go ahead and check. Where are our monkeys? There's one. That's all we need. Enrichment is kind of... Really? Come on. Why? What broke? Still able to climb this. I hope it's just that. Yeah, it looks like it is just that. No connection over here. Is there? There might be. I'll need to check that. Nope. Sneaky monkey. Look at that. Making a break for it. The game wastes no time. These guys, they seek out the escape routes and they beeline for them. Oh my god. Look at that shot too, though. Look at that shot. Look at that. Perfect pause moment there. All right, hold on. No, this is not... this is unacceptable behavior, monkey. Unacceptable behavior. Let's go ahead and get one. Maybe that doesn't look so broken. I know I could pull a different piece out entirely, but we have this one here in our hand right now, so... take advantage of that. Plus, we get a little bit of the roughness at the bottom corner as well. I hope that does the trick. Watch, they're going to sneak through that little gap over there. There. Pull that up a little bit so it feels like multiple, you know, columns side by side. Oh, can you imagine me, this monkey? It's like freedom! Donk! Nope. Obviously, it's going to pass right through. But hopefully you're going to obey the rules here. Pick you up and move you in. Before we have to pay another fee and all that jazz. What's the deal here? Come on now. Beautiful. There we go. Blocked off. Okay, a little bit of effort, but we got there. We got there in the end. Good job, team. Good job. All right, cool. So that's that handled. I wanted to also double check to ensure these guys were able to move freely. I wanted to make sure that this did not block their movement. Indeed, it did not. A little bit of like... Oh no, actually that's fine, because this thing always has a negative space around it. Nahuatl is about to have offspring again. It's got to be a good baby, right? We have been blessed. Offspring imminent. Show me the baby. I'm probably going to play with this rubbing pad first. I don't mind capturing that as well. Oh, no, lying down to have the baby. Come on, baby. Oh, yes, what a cutie. Oh my god. The ear wiggles, man, every time. Every time. Aw, size is a little bit on the small side. That's okay. Not too bad, not too bad. It's okay. Getting lost in the leaves there. Yeah, overall these guys are happy. Nice. Overall these guys are happy. So let's go ahead and check out the enrichment thing over here, right? Looks like they're toys, I suspect. Now, is it that they're bored or is it that they are... Yeah, they are bored. Not a problem. I haven't even seen them play with this. Oh, are we about to just see... No, of course not. I can't be that lucky. I can't be that lucky. Habitat. Capuchin. Go ahead and get them a new toy. What should we give them? Another ball? Another keyboard? Oh, you know what? This is actually... Oh, right. We got rid of the keyboard, didn't we? Keyboard down. Let's get rid of the ball over here. Let's get the gift up over there. Sure. Didn't put it nearly close enough to them to make them have to teleport that way, but it is what it is. Fair enough. Alright, cool. So that works out. They're blocked off properly. These guys are able to move around properly. They're hopefully enjoying their space. Guests are coming through. I suspect they'll enjoy the look of the space a bit more now. And pretty cool. It stays this way for a while. I think until the sun probably sets, it'll probably stay like this, which is neat. And then of course we have our little thing over here. Now, hopefully, if I've done this right, this will last a little bit longer. I don't think it will, actually. It's okay. Alright, cool. So that's that. And then plus over here, we have the path reworked as well. So now that's the accessibility thing I wanted to address. It was pointed out that the pathing I'd done would actually be terrible on a wheelchair. Or, to be honest, on any kind of mobility assistance. So we've swapped it out for the kind of cobblestone, which hopefully, you know, is not so juddery, but that's what we had before. It just raised it a little bit and applied it. And again, that was a solution from the comments, so thank you for that. Great idea, great thinking. I think it works quite nicely. It also breaks up the mossy kind of coverage a little bit, so maybe that does the trick for some of y'all who weren't a big fan of the moss. Again, just to be clear, experiments are experiments. We can always redo, edit, remove all of them. Just giving this one maybe a chance to grow on us, if you will, like moss would on rock. Or on anything, I guess. Playing with little toys over here. It's so great to see these guys enjoying their spaces. There's so much more to do. There's so much more to do. And so much of it can only be done in real time. Like, if I want to get the waterfalls and stuff happening, I need to make sure I do those in real time. Because I want to actually be able to see the effects, obviously. I wonder if we shouldn't get some of this started over here. At the waterfall bottom. Now, the murky one, I don't know if I like the murky waterfall. That doesn't even look like much of a waterfall. Yeah, it does. Okay, what about the murky bottom? Murky midsection, murky bottom. Yeah, like it works, but it's a little swampy. It would work specifically in certain spots, but I don't think that's what I want to do over here. I think, or I don't think. You know what I mean? Special effect. Why so small? There we go. This is rotated the face the other way. Again, I could start laying some of this stuff down, right? Just to get things prepared. Animal has escaped. Get it checked. Get it checked. The escape route there. How is this an escape route? A little bit. Babies. Causing me trouble. This update, is it seriously still an issue? Weird. Go up a little bit, maybe. Still an issue. Oh, come on. Let's see. Maybe I can just nudge this out ever so slightly. Nope. That one I can't move. I can move this one, though. That'll hopefully do the trick, maybe. It's just that one spot. It's not like it's all across the space. That's what makes it so weird. Yeah, okay, so that's that covered. Good. Oh wait, no, this is an adult. Need the baby. There we go. Yeah, so that's that covered. This, oh, it's so weird. They're able to get through all the elephant grass and stuff there. Or, oh, sorry, you know what? It's probably actually, yeah, the barrier. If I do that, will that do the trick? I don't know, actually. Where's that baby at? I wish special effects would play when you were paused. Because you can see how easily, like great, well, now we're distracted again. I could put down like a small rock or something over here. Yeah, now we're distracted again, and now the special effects are being delayed once more because I can't put the special effects down unless we're in real time, and if we're in real time, I can't ignore all the notifications. I'm not going to do that. That's a bit of a situation, I guess. Just down over here. We'll blend it in more nicely when we develop this space further. That definitely will do the trick. Cool. Cool. Go ahead and get you guys. Again, I want to try and be judicious with these as well, because I want to make sure that we spread the love with them as opposed to have them all densely packed in one space, and the next thing you know, we're not able to we lose frames. It's all about balance. I am still keeping that in mind, but I don't want to keep it in mind so much that we stop, you know, doing cool things. That would be counterintuitive. All right, you. There we go. I guess that's the right direction. A lot of it is being hidden behind that, so let's go ahead and pull you out to here. Okay. Just so I get a sense of, like, if I wanted to drop all the way, what I need to do to the terrain. Pull it out, evidently. Pull it out quite a bit, in fact. Okay, do that. Go ahead and pull you guys over a little bit. Go. Drop you a bit. I kind of like the height. Do that. Get these guys a little bit. Oh god. Wish you could choose what to select when you do the box drag. A lot of like little quality of life kind of stuff. Is that right? I think so. Yeah. Cool. Line you up. There we go. Move you forward a little bit. I do like that curved shape as well. Okay, there we go. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All of you back ever so slightly. There. And now we can adjust the terrain. Oops. Pull it out a little bit. Add the intensity, add a little bit of the size. There we go. Pull you out a little bit there. Drop this a little bit there. That's good stuff. And we do need to put water over here as well, right? Let's not forget. Ultimately. I want to put water in here. Is the plan. I wonder if... I'll just have to sort this out. How exactly we fill water in these spaces. Now we should in fact have, let me just check here. Yeah, we have cleaning over here, so that's good. Probably pull this out a little bit further. Just trying to get like, trying to eyeball it for now, like how it'll make this space look. That probably need to add some more like rapids and stuff as well over here, just to make it look like it's flowing over. Rapid splash. Add a few more rocks and things like that as well. Obviously that will make a big difference. Where is our midsection again? Midsection, there we go. Out over here. There, and what we'll probably do is like add like little like splits and stuff so it feels a bit more real. Like where the terrain kind of like breaks the waterfall up. That kind of a thing. That's probably what it's gonna like end up looking like a little bit. Go ahead and get the waterfall. What is that word even? The waterfall bottom. What I meant to say. A bit better developed over here. There we go. Go. Beautiful. Beautiful. We can get some more midsections as well if we wanted to. That's the murky one, isn't it? No, it's the regular one. 10 meters, yep. Exactly what we need. That kind of a thing. And then if we go ahead and find us some rocks. Not desert, but temperate? Or not temperate. Grassland. Right. Big rocks, not the small rocks. I like split the space up, hide the little visual effects elements. This will take a little bit more work, obviously. I don't want to rush this. I don't want to... Getting the effects looking real is in my opinion, a crucial part of the whole like experience. I want to make sure I spend the time on it properly and whatnot. But I just wanted to kind of get this vision going. I wanted to see if there were going to be any issues with this, any concerns or anything like that on on my end or on yours, just with regards to how this is supposed to end up feeling, how it's going to end up operating overall. And so that's something like that up there. And like I said, we'll have the terrain pulled out, and we'll also have like rocks and stuff over here to make this really work, where it's like the water's coming down and then it gets split into little parts here and there as it continues to drop down. They make it a bit more of a dynamic waterfall than just like a straight up and down. It's a waterfall kind of a thing. And we can, like add grass and stuff back there as well to make it feel a bit more like it's mossy and stuff. It's a little bit wet, it's a little bit slimy, it's a little bit mossy. Don't want to overdo it, obviously. That kind of a thing. We've got our view from in here. Right, obviously it's not done yet. Obviously, there's still work to be done. Pull you over a bit. I guess what I can do is I can plan the visual effects in real time and then go through and do the terrain in a time lapse. I could do that kind of a thing. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do this with rocks. Gonna have to keep making adjustments and stuff. That's the thing, is like there's so much fine tuning and stuff involved. It's hard to just do it in one mode, I guess. Yeah, we raise you up a little bit. Looks better. Add a little bit of greenery up there, add some rocks up there and stuff as well. And to... Oh, actually, wouldn't mind having one of those rocks in here. One of those trees, sorry, in here. If I can mistakenly select it again. Was it you? This one does the trick as well. Flatten this out, add some space for the tree to actually grow on. But I think that works. Down over here, I think it looks a little bit better. Yeah. And what you do is you'd get the rapids effect. Find it quickly here, rapids. Foam, let's try the foam. Nah, we do the splash. And again, just kind of like bump this up over here. Again, make it feel like the water is crashing through the rocks over here. And just crowd up that space, mist it up so it looks like it all blends pretty nicely, I would say, as a result of the splashing. About to have another matured rock on our hands. That'll require some management as we need to, like, you know, put animals away and stuff. But that is probably management that we're not going to deal with right now, if I'm completely honest. Because we're just about, I would say, at the end of this session. Go ahead and hit that pause button. I do think... Oh, we just zoomed out. Alright, come on. There we go. Now hit the pause button. I do think this will look quite nice when the entire network is done, when we have this entire thing waterfalling properly, and this entire space waterfalling properly as well. This section I'll work with when we're working on the entrance, of course. But yeah, I think a little bit of work over here, and this will look quite nice, not just for us, but also for our staff as they gaze out the window over here on their breaks. They'll see a nice kind of waterfall, forested, dense green area. I think it'll be quite nice. And you can also, of course, see it when you're walking by over here as we've built this space. So I think that'll be quite nice as well for our staff. A nice little break space, if you will. But yeah, overall, I'm pleased with how this has turned out. I mean, for a long time now, this has stayed up, actually. I expected it to... Right. I keep forgetting that the time isn't actually the time as per the blueprint. Of course it's not. But I'm curious to do some experiments with this. Again, I am quite pleased with the fact that this worked as well as it did. I hope you all are as well. We will have some things to handle. Ooh, a little bit of stress over here. And some hunger. Well, let's get the keeper over here for sure. The stress. Why are you stressed? Why are you stressed, buddy? Too many people? They're not staying quiet? Okay, well, we'll look into that as well. But folks, this is, for now at least, we're going to call it a session. I really should have got power for spitting facts over here. I knew it was an issue. I think I remarked on it earlier as well, but then it slipped my mind. We're literally just millimeters off from having power. Millimeters. So there's a few ways to tackle that. I mean, we could just move it closer. We could move it to that side. We could put down a solar panel. Just seems silly. Might want to... Oh, generator. It's going to be a pain to move closer, isn't it? Can we? Yeah, I guess we can. Are you poking through? You're not. All right, cool. Problem solved. There we go. Another problem solved. And I just want to make sure that it is properly connected. It is indeed. Cool. So that won't be a problem. All right, folks, this is where we're going to call it a session. I hope you enjoyed this one. We got a lot done, I would say. We made some good progress down over here, tried some interesting experiments that worked out, fixed up some issues. Well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this one. If you did, you know what to do as always. Let me know by leaving a like and a comment down below. It does make a massive difference in how I approach content on the channel, what I do more or less of, and how I go about doing it again. But yes, I'm personally, again, really pleased with how, I guess, things have evolved throughout this session. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts, or reading your thoughts, I guess, down in the comments. But like I said, for now, time to say goodbye. As always, a massive thanks goes out to all of my channel members and patrons for supporting the channel on a monthly basis. Y'all keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.